Do Saint Christopher, the saxophone and beer have anything in common? Hardly does anyone think about it, until they come to the small Belgian town of Dinant. It is located in Belgium, in its southern part, that is called Wallonia, where the French language is spoken. For reference, in the northern part of the country, which is named Flanders, people speak the Dutch language. The name Dinant comes from the Celtic words Divo Nanto. It means the sacred valley or the divine valley. The town, which population is about 13,500, is located in the Meuse River Valley. It has only a few streets, stretching along the river. The main street of Dinant, that begins in a narrow crevice between two rocks, is called Rocher Bayard. They say, that one day, Charlemagne, who united most of Western and Central Europe, into the Carolingian Empire, in the 9th century, became angry with the knight, named Renaud, and sent his servants to punish him. The faithful horse, called Bayard, saved Knight Renaud and his brothers from pursuit. While jumping over the river Meuse, the horse kicked the rock with his hoof so hard, that he made a passage through it. The first bridge across the Meuse River was built in the 11th century. The modern stone bridge is named after Charles de Gaulle. Here, in 1914, in the first battles of World War I, a young lieutenant was wounded, who then became the future president of France and its national hero. The location on the crossing, that connected the banks of the full-flowing Meuse River, cost the town dearly. The medieval town was often the scene of internecine feuds. Throughout its history, it has been stormed about 200 times. High above the town, there is a fortress, a citadel, founded in the 11th century, and rebuilt in the early 19th century. You can get to it from the town by cable car, or by 408-step rock-hewn stairs. Old cannons and cannonballs for them are on display in the citadel courtyard. The bare, ascetic walls of the corridors create an atmosphere of military alarm and disaster. The light draws the date, the 15th of August, 1914, on the floor. On this day, the First World War began in Dinant. The citadel offers a beautiful view of the town and its surroundings. One can clearly see the cross-shaped roof and tower of the Gothic cathedral, Notre-Dame de Dinant, built in the 13th century. The interior of the cathedral is austere and majestic. A metal vessel can be seen in one of the stained glass windows. It is no coincidence, because in the late Middle Ages, Dinant was famous for its brass and silver alloy products. The technique of their production, called dinanderie, is named after the town. Around 1480, Joachim Patinir was born in Dinant. We can see him in this drawing, that was made by his friend, the great German painter Albrecht Durer. This artist is considered by art historians to be the founder of European landscape painting. The space in Patinir's paintings usually consists of three planes. The foreground is dominated by brownish shades, the middle ground is a bluish-green, and the background is a pale blue. Later, this composition became traditional for Dutch landscape painters. The rocks in Patinir's paintings often resemble the Rocher Bayard, which is the landmark of his native Dinant. His paintings also depict many Christian themes, such as the baptism of Christ in the waters of the Jordan River, the rest of the Holy Family on the flight into Egypt, or Jerome with his companion, the lion, from whose paw the saint once removed a thorn. The lower right part of this painting depicts a lion and a man on a donkey. This is a reference to the story of a donkey, stolen by merchants and found by the lion, that brought it to the owner with the whole caravan, which can be seen in another painting by this artist. In these paintings, Patinir depicted Christopher, who is the patron saint of travelers, sailors, especially ferrymen, and motorists. His story is described in a collection of Christian legends and lives of saints, one of the most popular books of the Middle Ages, titled The Golden Legend, Legenda aurea, circa 1260. Once upon a time, there lived a giant, who helped people to cross a river. One day, a little boy asked him to carry him across the river. In the middle of the river, he became so heavy, that the giant was afraid that they would both drown. The boy told him, that he was Christ, and carried with him all the burdens of the world. Since then, the giant received his new name, Christopher, which means, Christ-bearer. Christopher is usually depicted with a child on his shoulders, as, for example, on the coat of arms of the city of Wilnia, today's Vilnius. However, in some icons, he was depicted as a cynocephali, it means a man with a dog's head. In the Middle Ages, people believed that far away, on the outskirts of the world, that they knew, there lived people, called cynocephali, one of whom could have been Christopher. It is also possible, that this image came from the Coptic, Egyptian, Christian tradition, which preserved memories of the ancient Egyptian deity, called Anubis. Let's return to Dinant, where in one of the small cozy squares, there is a bust of Joachim Patinir. If you are tired of walking, take a rest on the bench next to Adolphe's sax. In 1814, the inventor of the saxophone was born in Dinant. This musical instrument became the hallmark of jazz in the early 20th century. In addition to the saxophone, Adolphe Sax invented many other wind instruments. How about some beer? On the northern outskirts of Dinant, there is an ancient Benedictine abbey that was founded in the mid-12th century. In the Middle Ages, monks brewed and drank beer instead of water, which quality was usually poor. Here, in the Abbaye Notre-Dame de Leffe, they have had their own brewery since 1240. Nowadays, Leffe beer is known all over the world. While walking around Dinant, it is worth trying the local honey biscuits, that are called Couques de Dinant. Just do not forget a cup of hot tea, coffee, or cocoa. Dinant Couques are the hardest in Europe. It is recommended to soak them before eating.